the young athletes watching you are taking note. And in the Super Bowl, on the biggest stage, one of the biggest names, dating the biggest pop star, coming up, making physical contact with his coach, screaming in his face. If something isn't done about this, I can just guarantee you we are going to see this replicated across young, impressionable athletes. Sunday night was the Super Bowl. The Chiefs won it again. It's kind of an interesting storyline watching them be kind of the darlings of the United States, all of a sudden moving into a little bit of the villain category. I was over at my friend's house, who's a huge lifelong Chiefs fan, and so it was fun to watch him get to celebrate his team winning again. Something very interesting happened, though, towards the beginning of the game, where Travis Kelce was not put on the field in a play that resulted in a Chiefs fumble. Kelce obviously thought if he had been involved in the play, that may not have happened. And he approached 65-year-old head coach Andy Reid with a level of aggression that set the internet on fire. Let's take a couple looks at this interaction that they had. So if you're not watching, and if you didn't watch the Super Bowl, he comes up really quickly. Andy Reid's not looking, and he ends up chest bumping him, kind of his chest to his shoulder, knocking him off kilter, and then just screaming in his face. Now, Kelce was actually mic'd up during this, and so it'll be interesting to see if they release the audio or not. But to take one more look at it, it's kind of in slow-mo. It actually looks a lot worse full speed, but here it is in slow motion. He bumps him. He obviously scares Andy Reid, almost knocks him off kilter, could have knocked him down, and then continues to scream in his face. His teammates have to come alongside him and restrain him. Now, up to this point, nothing has been done. There have been no fines by the Chiefs or by the NFL. There's been no suspensions tacked on for next year. It really hasn't been addressed. Now, I'm recording this. It might get addressed after I put this out, but up to this point, a couple days after, it has not been addressed. And a lot of people are calling for us. Just seems like a bit of an injustice. Well, what does the ancient wisdom of Scripture have to say about this? In Hebrews 13, it says, have confidence in your leaders and submit to their authority, because they keep watch over you as those who must give an account. Do this so that their work will be a joy, not a burden, for that would be of no benefit to you. It's very interesting. Hebrews comes back to a little bit of a self-serving place. Like, if you don't submit to the authority of your leaders, ultimately, it's going to make their job miserable. If you make their job miserable, it's going to come back and not be of benefit to you. You're going to become too big of a problem. And Andy Reid seems so chill. And Patrick Mahomes has kind of, we've looked at the podcast in the past. We've seen him kind of throw these tantrums right in front of Andy Reid, and he's just cool as a cucumber. And so I think he's probably just going to play this off, right? However, in Scripture, it just makes it clear in Titus 3:1, remind the people to be subject to rulers and authorities, to be obedient, and to be ready to do whatever is good. Sure, you didn't like a play. There's a time and a place for that. You're in the heat of the moment. But this video, just kind of universal agreement, even the Chiefs fans that were in the room with me, it's a bad look. It might be out of character. Seems out of character. It's a very, very bad look. And for me, I am the parent of a young athlete, and Paxton is a very, very talented basketball player. He's playing at pretty elite levels where we're seeing good competition. Just for reference, he's in 8th grade. We're seeing kids consistently who can legitimately dunk. He has a kid on his team who can legitimately dunk a basketball in 8th grade, right? So high levels of competition. And what we're noticing more and more, and I know we see this in baseball, we see this in basketball, we see this in football, is we see young student athletes who take an approach to their coach as if the kid is the authority and the coach should submit. And this is backed up by parents who never have the coach's back and whose kids can never do anything wrong. And you've actually seen more and more incidents that get captured and put online and posted on videos and put on Twitter of young athletes, not just disrespecting coaches or disrespecting officials, but actually getting in physical altercations with this. For me, the biggest reason this needs to be addressed is the example that it sets for young athletes. And if nothing is done, then we are telling young athletes, Travis Kelce, one of the most famous human beings on earth, because yeah, he's good at football, but more than that, he's dating Taylor Swift.
Wow.
So he's an example. Everyone has seen this. It's all over social media. What's going to happen? And if nothing happens, it informs these young student athletes, I'm in control. And if my coach does something that I don't like, I can get in their face. And what example are we going to set? I sincerely hope that there is something that is reasonable that is done. The punishment should always fit the crime. He shouldn't be thrown out of the NFL for this or anything else. It needs to be addressed. I would hope that Andy Reid would address it. Travis Kelce's comments seem to be kind of just brushing it off, but that's not good enough. I mean, the young athletes watching you are taking note. And in the Super Bowl, on the biggest stage, one of the biggest names, dating the biggest pop star, coming up, making physical contact with his coach, screaming in his face. If something isn't done about this, I can just guarantee you we are going to see this replicated across young, impressionable athletes all over the country. If you enjoyed this clip, make sure you check out the full podcast and subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with all new content. You can also support the channel at patreon.com/Clayton Tyner. Link is in the description below.